I'm Fran Andrews, Executive Director of Citizens Commission on Human Rights International, based in the United States with chapters across 6 continents. Since 1969, CCHR has worked to expose coercive psychiatric practices such as involuntary commitment and forced treatment, including the use of electroshock or ECT and psychotropic drugs. In 1976, we helped secure the first U.S. law banning electroshock on children under age 12 in California, and in Texas in 1993 for those under 16. In Western Australia, in 2014, we obtained legislation banning electroshock for children under age 14, which is also enforced with criminal penalties. Yet children as young as 5 years old can be electroshocked in the United States. Disturbingly, this year, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry called for expanding ECT use in minors. The American Psychiatric Association also endorses this. This directly contradicts Article 15 of the CRPD and the World Health UN Mental Health Guidance urging a ban on children being electroshocked. Too many countries remain out of step with these global standards, which CCHR is resolute in rectifying. I now turn to our International President, Jan Eastgate.
Thank you very much. With 56 years of documenting psychiatric abuse, listening to many thousands of individuals, CCHR concludes electroshock psychosurgery and forced drugging should be abolished. In Australia, CCHR exposed and got banned deep sleep treatment, a lethal electroshock and drug procedure that killed 48 people. In 1990, a Royal Commission inquiry we helped initiate ruled that ECT without informed consent is criminal assault. We welcomed the WHO and UN mental health guidance that called for a global ban on deep sleep treatment. In New Zealand, CCHR spent nearly 50 years exposing the electroshocking of children without anaesthetic at Lake Alice Psychiatric Hospital. Psychiatrist Selwyn Leeks shocked children's heads, limbs, and even their genitals. They were drugged, beaten, and forced to watch or assist in giving the shock. While the hospital was closed, there was no justice for the survivors. From 2010 to 2017, CCHR brought this to the UN Committee Against Torture, which found the convention had been violated. In 2021, a New Zealand Royal Commission inquiry confirmed there had been, quote, a culture of impunity that normalised abuse and torture, end quote. Last year, the Prime Minister acknowledged that children were tortured. This year, survivors and CCHR received a national award for their efforts. Yet a proposed new mental health bill still allows forced ECT even on children. The word compulsory appears 465 times in the bill. Rights, only 128. The bill overrides personal autonomy, contradicting CRPD protections. The psychotropic drugging of children is a global concern. CCHR raised this before the Council of Europe in the 1990s and the UNCRC in 2005. In the US, we found parents were threatened with criminal prosecution or child removal for refusing to drug their child to keep them in school. In 2004, we achieved a federal law prohibiting this practice. We encountered comparable coercion in Mexican schools, achieving a similar law in 2009. Global recognition is needed to protect children from coercive drugging in education systems. Antipsychotics are especially dangerous. In Europe, the antipsychotic risperidone is approved to treat children as young as 5 with intellectual disabilities. Investigative journalist Gardner Harris's book No More Tears warns that tranquilising children, even for short periods, can lead to obesity, diabetes, heart attacks, permanent motor damage and sudden death. Boys can develop permanent female breast growth from risperidone, requiring surgical removal. Yet in the UK, boys recently comprised over 63% of 0 to 9-year-olds prescribed risperidone. It is the most frequently administered antipsychotic in the Netherlands, UK and Germany, including for those 4 years and younger. Today, US children as young as 7 are warehoused in largely for-profit psychiatric hospitals. Some have died during restraints, terrified and gasping for air, their deaths ruled homicides. Staff have slammed children into walls, thrown them to the floor, forcibly drugged and secluded them. 82% of residential facilities use seclusion and restraint. Despite some state restrictions, this abuse remains systemic in the US and globally. Across Europe, coercive psychiatric practices remain entrenched. In 2022, Switzerland reported 100 restraints per day, and 1 in 4 individuals in psychiatric hospitals is held involuntarily. In France, more than 75,000 people were forcibly admitted in a single year. Over 28,000 were restrained or secluded. Electroshock on minors continues across Europe. A 2023 review showed the highest use in 10 to 18-year-olds was in the Czech Republic, Finland, Denmark and Sweden. Germany reports use on 12 to 17-year-olds. In Sweden, children as young as 6 have been electroshocked. Between age 17 and 18, ECT use jumped by 471%. Excuse me. We have our work cut out for us, but CCHR remains steadfast in its mission to ensure that psychiatry and human rights services align with international human rights law. Electroshock, psychosurgery and coercive psychiatry, including forced hospitalisation, drugging and restraints, must end. Upholding autonomy, dignity and liberty is non-negotiable. Rights-based alternatives must replace outdated violent psychiatric practices. We thank this committee for your leadership in advancing a true human rights approach to mental health worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your important statement and for joining us today. I would like to sincerely thank all our distinguished speakers for their valuable intervention and for taking the time to join us today, whether in person or through recorded messages.